Hey guys, Larry here. Sorry for the fill-in, but Junkman couldn't make it today. Something about being busy or needing a break. I call it a bad case of lazy ass. So, please, go cancel that Junkman. Scream it to everybody, cancel the Junkman. Now that we got that out of the way, let me say, buy my merch, buy my merch, buy my merch. Okay, now I got that out of the way also. Now, as an adult collector, we all know someone, or maybe we even know ourselves, that like to build armies. That doesn't mean getting 2 or 3 of a stormtrooper. It means getting a lot to build an army of the bad guys, or I guess good guys. Not just troopers. You could build armies of Jawas, Tusken Raiders, Imperial dignitaries. Well, I don't know who wants to build an army of Imperial dignitaries, or maybe Ewoks, but then again, all the Ewoks look different, so I'm not really sure if you could army build with those. Maybe. Any key to building a good army of action figures are ones that all look the same, like a snow trooper or a biker scout. As a kid, it was rare, as far as I remember, for kids to have more than 2 of the same figure. 3 tops. You might have a normal stormtrooper, but I doubt you had 3 stormtroopers. Tusken Raider, the max there was probably about 2, and a Jawa, you most likely had 1. Now I don't want to hear the comments from you Ricky Schroeder type kids out there that had 5, 10, 20, even 50 stormtroopers, or you had 37 Jawas. I'm talking about the normal kid that didn't have the money to build a whole army. Now this doesn't mean Kenner didn't know that some key figures out there kids wanted to buy over and over again. So they came up with a plan to have kids spend their allowance on action figures they already had rather than give that money to another toy company. Refunds. Yep, you heard me right. Refunds. Let's take a look at the Jawa. Kenner would give a cash refund up to $3 for a Jawa action figure. You heard me right. Kenner would send kids 50 cents for every Jawa they got. All kids had to do is cut out the nameplate off the card. I know, it's hard to think about that now as a collector, cutting up those cards, but either back then we cut them up or we throw them in the trash. So anyway, you cut off these nameplates, send it to Kenner, and they would give you a check for 50 cents. Sadly, kids can only do this up to 6 times. 6 times using the same address, that is. But being that you could do this up to 6 times, you could get up to $3. The best thing, you didn't even have to send in a store a receipt. So if you had a friend that had a Jawa card back laying around and you didn't know about this 50-cent offer, you could take his card back, cut out the nameplate, and it could be you walking a raid with 50 cents. And believe me, that's a lot more money than you would get selling Grit Magazine. Trust me, I know, I sold Grit Magazine. And for 50 cents, that's about 30 cents more than most kids was getting for an allowance back in 1978. They also did this with the Tusken Raider, aka Sand Person. I know, you say Sand People, but the card says Sand Person. Anyway, you could mix it up. You could send in 3 Jawas and 3 Tusken Raiders, or send in 5 Tusken Raiders and 1 Jawa. Or better yet, send in 6 Jawa nameplates using your parents' address, and then 6 Tusken Raider nameplates from your grandparents' address. That could put $6 of green paper in your pocket. And yes, you could also do this with stormtroopers. So if you were one of those lucky kids like my friend Frank, who had 2 grandparents, that's 3 addresses and 3 names you could use. So that means you could send 6 Jawa names, 6 Tusken Raider names, and 6 Stormtrooper names, and get a grand total of $12. And in most states, that was tax-free. If the parents are buying you the figures anyway, they don't know about this refund, it's a win-win. You get a Star Wars action figure, and you get cash. All you gotta do is fill out the form and send it to 1 Industrial Drive, P.O. Box 2474, Maple Plains, Minnesota. Maple. Now, it would take up to 4 to 6 weeks. And believe me, as a kid, those were really, really long 4 to 6 weeks. And you had until September the 1st, 1980. Now, there was some sad news, as there always is with any great story. The sad news here is, kids from Washington, that's the state, their refund was void. They couldn't get any money. A bummer. Well, that's a look at the Kenner's plan to help kids build an army of action figures and put a little bit of money back in their pocket. I want to thank you for watching. As always, thumbs on your like my Hey, is that a hot dog stand over there?
Hey, Junkman channel popping though.
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.